Thanks, Nudgee gentlemen. Sorry to frighten everyone by coming on so loudly there. Mr. Fulliger and the college leadership team, to the parents who are in the hall today with us to see their sons presented and those joining us online, to our college staff in the hall and back in classrooms and in spots around Nudgee, and most importantly to Nudgee men who are here with us today or back in classrooms. Welcome to our Week 7 Assembly. Again, as always, when we gather together for Assembly, a celebration of what we are about, what we have achieved, and who we aspire to be. So very shortly we will be led in a prayer of gratitude. We will hear some thanks from the Edmond Rice Foundation, who is a key partner of the college. We will hear about Giving Day this week and a free dress day on Thursday. Mr. Johnson will update us about the building that has been happening around Nudgee. We will have students speak about inclusion, about what's going on in the primary school. For the first time, and the start of a great new tradition, we'll see who is in our academic firsts before music, some key words from our principal and other announcements. A great college assembly today. And gentlemen, to lead us in prayer, I welcome to the microphone our Dean of Identity, Mr. Mara.
Thank you, Mr. Todd, and good morning to everyone on a very chilly morning. You know you're alive when the energy summons up just to keep warm. It's a great day. As Mr. Todd explained when he walked through the different parts of today's assembly, we will hear many messages today about generosity and gratitude, the giving and the giving thanks. And we spend a lot of time concentrating on our gratitude, on our ability to be thankful, because we recognise that in that we bring our intellect and our heart to our life experience, being able to recognise those moments in our life where God's grace touches us through the interaction we have with others, and we give thanks for that. But today I want to concentrate more on the act of giving rather than giving thanks. Because without those initial acts of giving, of generosity, we have no cause to be gracious, to be grateful, and to give thanks back. And we put before you many opportunities for giving in this place. And we do so because it is a passion of ours that we make life as full as possible for as many people as possible. And we understand that it is our Christian duty to give to others so that they may enjoy life fully as we do. And that equity and that acceptance of others is a call from God. But often, because we give you exercises in giving, it can appear to be an extra, an application, something put on top, when in fact generosity is a fundamental aspect of being human. To be generous is to give, to be large, to be full, to make ourselves open to others. So every time that we ask you to buy a sausage from the barbecue committee on a Thursday, or we run Project Compassion through Lent, or we cooperate with the Edmond Rice Foundation with their Best Foot Forward program, or we have a blue and white day, all of these little things go towards making us more human. Because at the end of the day, it's not actually about money. We put the programs in place for you to share your gifts with others, not so much so that we give out of our pocket, but that we build a habit of giving of ourselves. Because one of the key moments of your adult life will be the moment that you give yourself fully to your family, to your work, to your mates. And it's not about what comes out of your pocket, it's about what comes out of your heart. and everything else follows that. But in order to establish good habits, here at school, we regularly get you to go and cook breakfast for people in the valley, or we ask you to go and sit with the residents of Viridian next door and have a chat over a cup of coffee, or we ask you to go on immersion and see things and hear from people that you wouldn't normally meet. Because it's about what comes out of our heart, not what comes out of our pocket. And I want you to remember that as you hear all the messages that you will hear on assembly today. So let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Holy Father, there is nothing we have that you have not given us. All we have and all we are belong to you, bought with the blood of Jesus. To spend selfishly and to give without sacrifice is the way of the world. But generosity is the way of those who call Christ their Lord. So help us to increase in our generosity until it can be said that there is no needy person among us. Help us to be trustworthy with such a little thing as money, that you may trust us with true riches. Above all, help us to be generous because you, Father, are generous. May we show what you are like to all the world. We make this prayer in the name of Jesus our Lord. Live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And now, continuing with that theme of giving thanks, we welcome our friends from the Edmond Rice Foundation Australia, and to speak to us today is Mr. Jared Turner.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Murrah, Mr. Fulliger, staff, students, and the Nudgee College community. On behalf of the Edmond Rice Foundation, for those that don't know, we actually operate out of a building about 20 metres to our left, and we're going to be in the McKillop building in the next little while, and we're very appreciative to everyone at Nudgee for hosting us here. We are a small little team, but we hope that we're making a big difference in Australia and around the world. So I'll just give a little bit about the Edmond Rice Foundation and the Best Foot Forward initiative, and we'll play a couple of clips of people that have been supported through your effort and generosity in the last few weeks. The Edmond Rice Foundation works in supporting 35 different programs in 11 different countries, including Australia, such as Edmond Rice camps and the flexible learning centres around southeast Queensland. We support Callan Services in Papua New Guinea, who a number of you I know immersed yourselves in immersion programs last year. And our big focus is on educating the most vulnerable. Those education programs look different everywhere around the world. Sometimes that could be in the slums in Africa. It could be traditional learning centres. It could be people with HIV or AIDS in various communities around the world. And for us, it makes a huge difference, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our supporters in and around Australia. Obviously, COVID is a challenging time in southeast Queensland, but it certainly puts things in perspective when we hear the stories of schools being closed in Africa for the rest of 2020, and the flow-on effects to the communities that will be challenged greatly over that time. As you'll have heard over the last few weeks, Best Foot Forward, it's the second year that we've run this initiative, which is all about empowering women and girls around the world. And what a number of you did over the last few weeks was wear a pair of pink shoelaces, and for you that might have seemed like a relatively small piece that you played, but it is massive, not in just the dollars that were raised, but the awareness that were raised of the issues that girls and women face around the world. In total, your community helped change 7 people's lives. That 7 number might sound very small to you, but when you change one person's life, especially a girl or a woman's life in a challenging community, you will affect her family and you will affect that community. And we've got a couple of those little stories to share with you today. The first one that we've got is of a lady called Mama Vincent. She's one of our main hero stories that we're sharing this year, and I won't spoil too much of it, but she has 5 children, and her oldest lives with quite a severe disability in the Kibera slum in Nairobi. So without any further ado, we'll share her story with you now.
So this is a little sort of photographic story about a boy called Vincent and his mother. In Kenya, often the mothers like to be referred to as Mama and then the name of their firstborn, so she's Mama Vincent. She lives in Kibera in a shack that's 3 metres by 3 metres with her 5 children and her husband. Vincent here is about 11 years old, I think, and he has fairly severe autism. Women tend to care about the education of their children, care about the nutrition of their children, care about the health of their children. So if you're talking about making change on any sort of scale, you should try to get your aid into the hands of women. So this is not a great photograph, but it's an important photograph because it's sort of one of the few photos I've got which sort of shows an expanse of what Kibera is. It's an urban slum that houses somewhere between 250,000 and 1 million people. And here's a couple of versions of a portrait of Mama Vincent. I look at this and she's looking down, and this is very much a sort of a look she wears a lot. And there's a definite sadness in her eyes, there really is. I'm not pretending that, and I'm not making it up. But I think I'd probably like to use this picture instead. There's a little bit more hope. The sadness isn't gone, but with her eyes up and the shape of her beautiful hat on her head here, and she's looking out this way, I think there's a bit more hope and a bit more optimism that her life can be a little bit richer looking after her beautiful son Vincent than maybe some of us would expect.
Thank you, guys. And just before I play the second video, I was lucky enough to meet Mama Vincent in 2018. We run a couple of immersion programs, and one of them's called Gone Fishing, where we actually get into Kibera and meet a number of the people and programs that we support. And her story is honestly, it's amazing. You walk into a house that's 3 metres by 3 metres, and if you look to the left and right of you and a couple of seats back, that is their house for a family of 7. The next small little clip is of a young girl, 16 years old, so not too far different from yourselves. She also lives in Kibera in a 3 by 3 metre house, and she attends a program called the Mirror of Hope Centre, which supports young girls and women that live in pretty challenging circumstances and all have their own story to tell. So here's just a couple of words from Jade in thanking you.
Really, because I have a dream of getting out of Kibera, helping my older brothers, so because they have dropped out of school. So in my family, I'm the only girl. So getting this chance is so I'm very lucky, because I could have dropped out of school because of my brothers, dropped out of school because they lacked school fees. So I want to help them. I want to... Okay, I'm so sorry. Finally, I'll urge you to support Best Foot Forward so that girls like me, they can have a dream, they can pursue their careers, they can be responsible. Thank you.
And just on behalf of the Edmond the team and all of the girls and women that you have supported through your efforts, I'd like to ask Mr. Fulliger if you'd like to come on stage and accept a small token of our appreciation for all of Nudgee's efforts. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Well done. I think we've got to do that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
might have noticed recently that important developments have commenced in and around the school. These improvements are set to enhance the schooling experience for the boys and strengthen the college for future generations. While our foundations are built from brick and mortar, there are some traditions far greater that need to be preserved to honour those who went before us.
I've always referred to it as the Bell Tower and then Mary's Tower in more recent times. Bell Tower because the bell was there, and this place, it moved to the machine of that bell. It was designed to be obviously a significant building. And I think over the 128, 130 years, it's become a feature of our landscape. The Nudgee building with the tower and the beautiful Stombaco architecture, it's iconic.
The dome itself was in fairly good nick, but everything above it and below it has been, pretty much eaten away by rot and lightning. Basically everywhere within 50 kilometres can see what we're doing, so it's going to be special when it's done.
We knew the tower was in disrepair, but we do need your support to help finish the restoration. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to continue the legacy of the tower in our community. Our inaugural NC Giving Day is a celebration of our college, our boys, and our rich history. And to ensure our day's success, we are asking the whole Nudgee College community to be involved on Thursday, the 27th of August. We have just 24 hours to reach our target.
When you are part of something and you can contribute, you actually have that sense of ownership, that sense of belonging. And I think Nudgee embed that in both the boys and also in us as mums, supporters, dads, the whole community.
Without the tower, it wouldn't be Nudgee. Without the stripes, without the brotherhood, it wouldn't be Nudgee. Without your support, it wouldn't be possible. Please give and show your Nudgee spirit on Thursday, the 27th of August, 2020. Go to charity.com/NC.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, staff, parents, and my fellow Nudgee brothers. Over the past 3 terms, I'm sure you would have noticed the construction that has encapsulated our iconic Tower of Mary. Previously known as the Bell Tower, this icon has laid the foundations of Nudgee since 1890. The tower with the statue of Mary is a symbol of being a sign of faith, a symbol of nurture, and a symbol of protection, not only for the Nudgee community, however the wider Brisbane community. The tower means so much to all boys of the college, current students and staff, and the 10,000 brothers. This Thursday, we mark the launch of our inaugural Giving Day. As a part of this, we are asking for donations for the restoration of our beloved Mary Tower. Currently, we have raised over $13,000. The barbecue committee will be running a barbecue on Thursday, where all proceeds will go straight to the restoration of our tower. We invite you to wear free dress on Thursday, where you must bring a gold coin donation. All funds raised will go to the restoration of our tower. Next week, a pizza lunch will be held for the entire house who raises the most money. This restoration is for the betterment of our Nudgee community, to respect and honour those who have stood before us. When you leave these gates as old boys, you'll always check when you drive past to see if the light is shining on Mary, protecting our great college. Thank you.
Good morning, staff, parents and boys of Nudgee. It's probably a good time to come on and speak about the building program. You've seen a great video that demonstrates some of the work that's going on. There are 3 main building programs we're undertaking at the moment. The first is the Mary Rice Early Learning Centre that's occurring in the McKillop building. As of early next term, we will take over that building. The Early Learning Centre will open in January, and boys, some of you will start using the top floor area just to the left as we walk out and look at the building. It will be a house assembly area, and Year 11s and 12s, you'll be happy to know, it also will become an examination area. The second area is the flats redevelopment. Firstly, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation and patience. I know Term 3 sport has been very unusual in many different ways and for different reasons. With our lack of fields, this has further complicated things. Turf will start arriving very shortly. 10 hectares of it, in fact. We are generally going to clean out 3 turf farms in southeast Queensland so we can turf our fields. The 28 cricket practice nets are taking shape as well and will be ready for use next term. By late January, we will have world-class ovals stretching right down to the cattle yards. The third project is the Tracy project. Boys, next term you will start using some of the new classrooms on the first floor of Tracy. These rooms sit above the new health centre and the new book hire room, both of which won't start operating until around Christmas time. The advancement unit will move along this top floor area, as you can see in that photo there. And in the corner, where boarding once was, all the maths, humanities, English, business, religion, and a few other staff will be relocated. One of the pertinent staff rooms early next year will become a classroom. The Gallagher demolition will start in the holidays. So gentlemen, most of you will receive new timetables in Term 4 as we have to relocate a lot of our classrooms. The bulk of the works will be finished by February. So really, we have one more term to negotiate the building works and to tolerate the noise. Again, thank you for respecting the site boundaries and making the best of the current circumstances. Now enjoy a short video, boys, showing what it's going to look like.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you agree the college is doing absolutely everything we can for you boys to have the best facilities possible. Nudgee gentlemen, staff and parents, I welcome to the microphone now across 2 presentations, Christian and Shannon, to speak to us about inclusion and particularly a focus on our language, before Liam and Oliver share with us the happenings in Year 5.
Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Our ability to reach unity in diversity will be the beauty and the test of our civilization." Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, distinguished guests, staff, parents, my fellow Nudgee brothers. Nudgee College, as you know, is a vastly diverse community, home to students and staff from different races, socioeconomic backgrounds, and even sexualities. A community which I'm proud to call my second home. A community which treats me with dignity and respect, regardless of my skin tone and ethnicity. We pride ourselves on the unique nature of our diversity here at Nudgee. Some would argue it is what makes this place great. Everyone is different and everyone has their own unique story to tell. Despite these differences, we are all united in one common goal, to be a signum fidei, a sign of faith. One of Nudgee's key ethos, which is instilled in young men, is the notion of inclusivity, an Edmond Rice touchstone which manifests acceptance and compassion. Unfortunately, this is not always followed. A minority of Nudgee men use non-inclusive language as a joke, subjected to students of different races, socioeconomic backgrounds, and sexualities. They say, it's just a joke, a bit of banter. I don't really mean it. But every word you say, boys, have the power to empower an individual and also the force to beat them to the ground, especially when you have no idea what is going on in their lives. Your words have the power to push someone to the breaking point or save them. It's your choice. The power to tear down or build up lies in your tongue. A joke should never be at the expense of another person's dignity. Why should we have the right to make a joke which could have detrimental effects on an individual's life? No person should ever be subjected to a racial slur or undermined because of how they look or who they are as an individual. It is all of our responsibilities to ensure that Nudgee is an inclusive place at all times. And it's critical that we call out poor behaviour and we challenge our mates to be better. We are a band of brothers united in love. Brothers that put the needs of the man sitting next to him before himself. That is what makes Nudgee so special, the unique sense of camaraderie despite our differences. Let us ensure that every single man is a part of our 10,000 brothers and is loved just as much. Thank you.
As you might have seen over the past few weeks, Nudgee has put an emphasis on the need to celebrate the diversity of all students, regardless of race, religion, abilities, or sexual identity. As Nudgee men, we have been taught the ERA Catholic values of love, peace, and compassion, which we can utilize by uplifting those around us, by respecting their identity and sexuality. By using inclusive language, we can be conscious of the awesome diversity of our Nudgee brothers, and ensuring that our words of actions as Nudgee men are the ones of inclusion and love for each other. As we actively celebrate each other's differences in their individuality, we acknowledge that Nudgee is a place of inclusion and a place that encourages everyone to be an individual. This week, the library has organised an Inclusion Week to celebrate the diversity of all students. Mrs. Miller and the library staff have put together a variety of different activities for all students, which includes Lego activities and Kahoots. This Thursday, in the Mindful Theatre, Mix Maciel and Mr. Todd have arranged guest speaker Ben Bjarnason to share his experiences as an openly gay man within the Queensland Police Force. Finally, on Friday, you will notice all library staff and some academic staff will be wearing purple clothing to show their support for National Wear It Purple Day, a day of support to young LGBTQI people. These staff are supporting the incredible work of Wear It Purple organisation, who support young LGBTQI people and offer special support with their sexual identity. Through this week and our ongoing inclusion activities, we as Nudgee men can all feel a sense of acceptance and belonging. I hope that we can all stand together as 10,000 brothers to speak and live our lives of peace, love, and compassion by lending our voice to those who get drowned out by hate. I thank you all for listening and wish you all a good day.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, staff, students, and parents. My name is Liam, and today I'm going to talk to you about Grade 5's visit from Star Lab. As you are all aware, we haven't been able to go on any camps or excursions this year because of COVID-19. It is disappointing that we can't go anywhere, so it was great that Star Lab brought the experience to us. Throughout this term, Year 5 has been learning about the solar system and how it is explored. During this experience with Star Lab, we were able to look through the solar system using technology on the inside of a big dome. A 3D experience made it feel like we were actually in space. The guide from Star Lab told us to lie down on the floor so we could see everything projected on the ceiling. There were different types of telescopes, images of the planets, and we learned how the planets were discovered. Besides learning about the planets, we learned how our eyes transfer light to our brain, which is all part of how our vision works. It was a fun experience because we got to witness what was in space without even leaving Nudgee College. Thank you for listening, and I recommend visiting Star Lab one day for an entertaining experience.
Good morning, Mr. Fulger, staff, parents, and my fellow Nudgee brothers. This term, in Year 5, we have been learning about childhood people and the qualities that they show in their everyday lives. They show acceptance, compassion, fairness, and much more. Here at Nudgee, we have a wide range of social justice programs and a committed group of people who want to show practical love to the poor. A great example of that is the Big Brekkie and the Big Barbie van. We went to Ed's shed in the van to find out more about it. At Big Brekkie, we drive the van to down to some local parks and cook a snag, eggs or sausage and egg sandwich for the homeless people there. We also provide them with some hygiene supplies and some groceries. We started this to provide practical love for the marginalised and the poor. The staff and boys don't just go there to cook the food, they go to start us chat and form friendships. We unfortunately can't do that right now, being in Year 5, but in Year 10 we will, and we will know all about it. Being kind means showing empathy, speaking with respect, and treating everyone the same. These are easy things we can show in our everyday lives. In addition, we have been shown that young men of Nudgee are called to be a sign of faith, encouraged to give of themselves, and to find peaceful solutions because they have big hearts and good character. One of our main charities here at Nudgee is the Walk for Edmond. Hopefully we'll join in this wonderful tradition by walking to Boondall Wetlands and back, equals 7 kilometres. We ask everyone to donate $50 to help schools in Cambodia and the Philippines. Thank you.
Good morning, staff and students, and special guests. In the past, you've heard Mr. Sepatos and other members of the Nudgee Learning and Teaching team talk about persistence, making every lesson count, and lifelong learning. You'll notice that the symbol of our star with the second point highlighted represents the value of lifelong learning at Nudgee College. There is a group of gentlemen at this college who have indeed been demonstrating these values, and this effort has turned into incredible results. Today we acknowledge the students who have achieved in the top 10% of the Year 12 Nudgee cohort. These students have received average raw scores of above 90% and or have ranked in the top 10th percentile for 4 or more of their general subjects. This is an amazing achievement. To celebrate this, we have developed a new program called the Academic First, and it is a first for Nudgee College, a new culture to look forward to. These students have been rewarded with 2 functions and have had access to representatives from Queensland's major universities to obtain scholarship information. There are additional benefits to come and another event as well for these gentlemen. Others out there have come very close to meeting the criteria, and I would congratulate you on your achievements so far. To our younger boys watching, know that these gentlemen were where you are now not so long ago. They made a decision to give their learning their top priority. They certainly have natural ability, But none of us are blessed with knowledge about modern history, maths, physics, music, and all of the other disciplines we learn at the college. Nor do we inherently know how to write an analytical essay, feasibility study, scientific report, or how to produce an amazing dramatic performance. These students had to work hard, practice skills, and demonstrate incredible persistence and dedication for their results. No doubt they had bad days and disappointments along the way, and they were at times bored, tired, and frustrated. But they managed to overcome these obstacles in a spectacular way. They will continue to learn and develop their skills as they've established the priority for lifelong learning. Their behaviour will ensure this success. I've spoken to many of them about their plans for the future, and the options they have are very exciting. This is a lesson for all of us, really. Imagine what we could achieve together as a college and as a community if we all made every lesson count, if we all made every day count. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing the way. So I'd like to invite Mr. Fulliger and Mr. Sepatos to the stage to congratulate our first cohort of academic firsts. Okay, James Armitage. Benjamin Bowker. Declan Cabot. Matthias Dahlstedt is away today, unfortunately, but congratulations to him in his absence. Bailey Delapina. Joseph Duffy. Caleb Georges. Max Grant. And Declan Henry. Please congratulate this group of academic firsts. James Hong. Oliver Horwood. James Hiphoff. Blake Keir. Zachary Crow. Hamish McLaughlin. Owen Mitchell. Thomas Mulegger. Xavier Nicolaitis. Luca Romano. And Samuel Shimming. Please congratulate these group of boys. And our last group, Kyle Schramm. Kian Sully. Harrison Swain. Cooper Tamer. Aaron Tran. Thomas Walsh. Alec Watson. And last but definitely not least, Ben Webber. Thank you. Okay, let's congratulate the last group of boys.
Thank you, Ms Tyrrell, and well done. It's a great initiative. Parents who are here with us today, thanks for joining us for the assembly. To the boys who are here, obviously those boys who are watching us from around the campus, and our Year 8s who are joining us today. It's been a terrific assembly celebrating so many aspects of school life. I hope you each have a sense of pride. I'm going to start today. I brought a book with me, gentlemen. It's a very old book. The book is from 1941. From 1941. It was commissioned for our Golden Jubilee, the 50th year of Nudgee College. I've used it on assembly, though it was a few years ago since I last did that. And I want to read a quote that some of you may vaguely remember and some of you have never heard before. This was written by Brother McGee, patron of McGee House, obviously, for those who are in McGee, or those on the campus in McGee House. Mrs Daunt's team of boys and staff. And Brother McGee was principal here, headmaster in 1910 to 1915. Some years later, at the 50-year mark, he was asked to write about his time here at the college. So what did he write about? What was part of his reflection? And he was here in the earliest days. He was here in 1910, so the school at that stage wasn't even 20 years old. And what did he reflect on that we was here even those earliest days? Then I read, every college has its own corporate spirit, its own continuing and progressively added to tradition, its own special atmosphere, and we may say personality. He says every school has that, and that is absolutely true. Teachers who've worked in other schools know that. Those of you who have been in other schools know each school has its special character. However, he goes on, but Nudgee possesses these in a measure and in a manner all its own. There is an individual cachet and character about it. Something of a distinction and quality that to me seem remarkable. I recall them today as I write and think back to the day I first stood there 3 decades ago. He's talking about Nudgee spirit. And even at that moment, he is saying, may all they signify and represent increase and extend, making their bounds wider and wider yet. So even then, he's hoping that it will grow further into the future. And I'd believe that it has. Generations of Nudgee men have followed over all that time since 1910 to the times that we are here and the keepers of all of this in this year of Nudgee. So boys, at the last 2 Saturdays, I've stood on Ross Oval. A couple of Saturdays in the rain, we watched the first 15 defend manfully to beat Epi Grammar. And I stood in front of the grandstand and I turned around at one stage and looked behind me. There was not one Nudgee boy in the grandstand. Last Saturday I stood there and watched the first 11 soccer team have a great win over Toowoomba. And again, there wasn't. I turned around because I just, you look at the grandstand oftentimes in those moments. I turned around and had a look again. Not one Nudgee boy in the grandstand because we can't. So I guess the question in my mind, boys, is Nudgee spirit under threat? That thing that has been here since the earliest days, do we need to be concerned because we're not in the grandstand? We're not cheering our mates as we've had for years and years and years at this school. Well, I want to reassure you that I think Nudgee spirit is getting even stronger this year because of the challenges of COVID and what's been presented to us. That notion of strength in the stripes we've used before. And I listened to Assembly today and those things, those messages that came through to me. And what were some of those messages that I've heard today? I've heard about generosity, and I wrote that word this morning as I reflected, and I looked at the list and we talked about the Edmond Rice support, and I wasn't aware that Mr. Mara would start his Assembly reflection and prayer with the word generosity. I know generosity is part of who we are. Nudgee Spirit's part of our DNA and our culture at this school. It's about who we are. There was something in Mr. Johnston's presentation about the progress we're making at the school. We're not the same school that we've been since 1910. We've continued to grow. And those 3 developments have been really challenging. Very few schools would take on 2 projects, let alone 3 at the same time. So but to do them and make them so marvellously beneficial to the school community, I believe is really, really inspiring. Pat reflected on that prayer. I reflected on Mary's Tower and the Bell Tower and what that means and the generosity that will come through on Thursday, I am sure. I was really inspired by Shannon and Christian. Thank you, boys, for those 2 excellent speeches. And the content of what you said today I find really inspiring, because we are an inclusive school. That's part of Nudgee Spirit. Part of being accepting of others, accepting of boys who are different, because we're all different, you and me. Accepting diversity, celebrating that in little ways, in big ways. The little ways in how we sit and how we talk to each other in the yard, on the bus, in the playground, wherever it may be. But also in big ways, in public ways as we have today, and we will later in the week. I'm delighted that we've been able to bring in a new initiative. Even after 129 years, you can keep doing new things, reinventing things. So the initiative around the academic first and to represent these, to highlight these boys and their efforts. One of the things I've marvelled at over the 5 years I've been here so far is at the end of the year, at the awards night, when we present the ducks at the end of that night, and the assembly that follows when all the school is here for the valedictorian, we present the ducks on that occasion. That's really one of the pinnacles of this school, is to be the ducks. It's something for boys in Year 8, some of you to aspire to this very day and into the future to be that boy. We'll celebrate being ducks in a different way this year because the whole system of education is changing for Year 11s and 12s. We'll hear more about that in due course. But you can't have an academic first and a strong group of boys who are there unless they're being pushed up by those rest of the boys who aren't here in Year 12. The collective effort of the Year 12s to raise the standard, to challenge each other to be the very best in each subject and collectively across the school. And that's something that's really, really important to us as a school in this very day. So boys, I'd like to suggest to you, as I said, that Nudgee Spirit is going to be stronger. Because Nudgee Spirit, as I've suggested to you many times before, is not just on Saturday afternoon in the grandstand. If that's the only measure of who we are and that's the only measure of Nudgee Spirit, by how many people we've got in the grandstand and how loud we cheer, that's a pretty shallow measure. It's an important measure, and I love my Saturday afternoons with the grandstand full. But if that's the only time we see Nudgee Spirit, then it's not good enough. Nudgee Spirit's got to be here today. It's been part of this assembly. It's got to be part of your next lesson. It's got to be part of your school life of who we are each and every day. In how we work with each other, particularly how we work with those boys who are different. How we celebrate our successes, our own successes as well as the successes of others. And that great sense of pride in who we are. So boys, the grandstand may be empty. But I want to make sure that in the rest of this year, we make sure that Nudgee Spirit continues to thrive in lots of ways, and some of those have been highlighted today, but in others, in daily school life. And while we look back today, or at least I have in some ways taken us back, also want to cast our eyes to the future. Boys, this time, those of us who will be here next year, not the grade 12s, we'll be celebrating 130 years of school life at Nudgee. We'll have lots to celebrate. Commissioning of new buildings and so on, but also celebrating that great Nudgee Spirit. So let's keep that going today, boys, and the weeks ahead for the rest of this premiership quarter of the third term. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, parents, colleagues, and gentlemen of Nudgee College. Of course, you've heard a number of people stand up here and say 2020 has been an unusual year. I read a meme the other day. It said if 2020 was a maths problem, it might read something like this. You're traveling at 100 kilometers an hour. The wheels fall off your canoe. How many liters of pancake batter does it take to screw in a light bulb? I think that's pretty much 2020. Thank you. I'll credit that later in the announcements. So, for many of us, 2020 has meant the loss of some of the things that we're looking forward to, some of the things that we hold near and dear. And for the boys that are involved in the performing arts, this has been true, as it has been for people involved in other parts of the school life. So it's meant lost performances, lost excursions, lost tours, lost festivals, lost competitions. So when we realized that all these things around assemblies and gathering together, performing arts and music today in particular is a social activity, a way of bringing people together. We were faced with the problem of how do we keep that when we in fact cannot be together. So we started filming in anticipation of assemblies like this. And it kind of dovetailed nicely because the boys who are taking music extension, one of the requirements is that they are looking for their own performance opportunities. And so one of the ways we thought we could do this is by filming their performances to present in a virtual assembly situation. So today we are going to celebrate in many ways. We are going to celebrate the return to live music in a moment. But I would like to present one of our academic firsts today. He is college music captain for 2020, and what a year he's had, and a music extension student. Sam Shimming, he's going to perform the first movement of the sonata for trumpet by Jean Hubot, and he is accompanied by Miss Vesnerica.
Good morning, staff, parents, Mr. Fulliger, my fellow Nudgee brothers. Very fast transition from Tierney down to here today. So Nudgee music has been very alive in term 3. We've been rehearsing for mornings, lunchtimes, afternoons after school, you name it, there's an ensemble rehearsing. However, unfortunately, due to the obstacles faced this year, we haven't exactly had many opportunities to perform. So today, for the Nudgee College Stage Band's first live performance of the year, we would like to present to you Treasure by Bruno Mars.
Don't know it, but you're fine, so fine, fine, so fine. Oh, whoa, oh girl, I'm gonna show you when you're mine, oh mine. Treasure, that is what you are. Honey, you're my golden star. You said you make my wish come true. If you let me treasure you. If you let me treasure you, oh, you are my treasure, you are my treasure, you are my treasure, yeah, you are my treasure, you are my treasure, you are my treasure, yeah, you are treasure, you are my treasure, and that is what you are, treasure, yeah, you're my golden star. You make my wish come true. If you let me treasure you. If you let me treasure you.
Thank you so much to our stage band and to Sam for their performance. So just some final community announcements and messages before we head off, Nudgee gentlemen and staff for period 2. So firstly, could our academic firsts, if you could please meet Mr. Fulliger in the foyer. He would love to have a photo with you. Our year 8s, you are going to stay behind in your seat straight after this, where we'll chat about how to be an audience for college assembly. Nudgee gentlemen, across the week, Ross and Riley House are celebrating their house mass on Thursday, and that starts the day beautifully on our free dress day for our giving day for Mary's Tower. Have a chat to Mum and Dad tonight about that free dress day and about the purpose behind it. Year 12s in SF on Friday in period 1. We're in Teeny Hall looking at the roadmap to now and the end of the year and all of the things that are connected with that. Gentlemen, there are our house assemblies, of course, on Thursday, and they'll appear on a slide in a moment, if not there now. And of course, SF for year 7 to 12, a slide from Mr. Tuvey outlining where that is on Friday. But gentlemen, as we have talked about recently on a number of times, just a reminder about how we all individually are playing a part in the college and our state and Australia staying COVID-free. I think it's fair to say that collectively we took a bit of a gasp on Saturday morning as we heard the rules had changed in Queensland once again because of a small outbreak. I know certainly many sporting things on Saturday were called off. Fortunately, not GPS sport. But that's the real possibility if there are further outbreaks in our state. We want that GPS sport competition to continue, of course. Most importantly, we want you here at school getting the best possible education you can, getting our grade 12s ready for their external exams and finishing, and all of us having the opportunities that Nudgee provides. So gentlemen, individually, we play our part by washing our hands regularly. If we are coughing or sneezing, we do that into our elbow so that we're not forcing that onto anyone else. We are being mindful of social distancing in the spaces that we are. Let's make sure we are all playing our part to keep Nudgee, Queensland and Australia safe. Gentlemen, can we... Oh, sorry, Vuli is going to lead us in 3 cheers. Apologies, Vuli, almost forgot.
No, Nudgee! Boys, 3 cheers for the first award recipients. Thanks for the performance for the stage band today. And boys, save the tower and bring a gold coin donation on Giving Day on Thursday. Let's keep up the good work. Best foot forward. Thanks to Union School for sharing the Starlight experience with us. And Mr. Fulliger said, Nudgee Spirit's never there, so let's make this one loud, boys. Ego win! Ego win! Ego win!
Gentlemen, if we can be upstanding wherever we are for the college song.
Beneath our vibrant spirit, beyond our victory, between our pride and glory, we are a sign of faith. There's a love I do not know, but the sounds and furies call. Great honor, great glory, great voice and great song. small man, 10,000 brothers, we are a sign of faith.
Thank you for being a great audience today back in the classrooms. I'm sure Year 8s, you are reminded that you are sitting down academic first in the foyer. And gentlemen, we are heading off to period 2 as promptly as we can. Thank you. Have a good day.